I understand that Malayalam cinema is now being associated with making really intellectually complex films, but that is not the only thing we are good at.
When people ask me, do I like to sing more or act more, I always tell singing is something that I do from my soul.
We really can't be competing with Bollywood in terms of scale. We can't be competing with Tamil or Telugu in terms of our budgets.
I was like, I haven't worked with Unni on screen before, so I have no idea how he's going to come into it. I've been a fan of all his films. Which actor hasn't he worked with? For me personally, this was a very, very big opportunity.
That trend started in the South from Bahubali. Bahubali taught us to dream bigger. Bahubali taught us to sort of, aspire bigger. Dabangg is, for what it is, a hugely entertaining piece of cinema. And it's not an easy film to make. There is genuine thought in writing. There is genuine effort into character building.
Prithviraj, taking on from there, do you feel that with the sort of content that is available now to Indian audiences, say for example, it is absolutely brilliant, be it in terms of writing, production quality, the sort of risks that people are willing to take as far as storytelling is concerned. Do you feel that creators in India, they're taking a note of it and they're pulling on their socks, and that there is something new that they need to offer? Because post-pandemic, I think it's a new world as far as movies are concerned, because content is being completely reimagined now.
Yeah. See, I just think that this whole coming back to focusing on content might be, rather than looking at scale and, rather than looking at mounting giant projects, you start recceing from content. How do you spot content to make good cinema? Maybe it's a new kind of thing for Bollywood or for other industries, but Malayalam has always been that way.
Absolutely.
One because of the way we've made films. Two, because we don't have a choice. We really can't be competing with Bollywood in terms of scale. We can't be competing with Tamil or Telugu in terms of our budgets. So the only way we can make interesting cinema, we can keep on making interesting pieces of cinema, is to come up with original new content. And whenever Malayalam cinema has lost track, whenever we have lost way, it's because we have lost focus on that and we have tried making something else. And right now, Malayalam cinema is going through a great phase where we have genuinely good content happening, pretty much left, right, and center. And that, I think, is also sort of underlines the fact of how good an original screenplay Andhadhun is, how brilliant Sriram's original film is. That for an industry like Malayalam to think, we will make this film, we want that piece of content to be made in Malayalam as well, at this point, is actually, I think, a huge tribute to Sriram Raghavan and the brilliant filmmaker that he is. So for us, it is not that the pandemic has sort of entirely changed how filmmakers here think, but it is true that now, even we have started thinking in terms of films that can be done under current circumstances, subjects that can be executed under current restrictions. So what these things do is it sort of makes you think in terms of smaller contained films. Even Malayalam, post Lucifer and all that, we were starting to dream big. We were starting to think, okay, let's now maybe do something big, a periodical, something. And in fact, that trend started in the South from Bahubali. Bahubali taught us to dream bigger. Bahubali taught us to sort of, aspire bigger. And then something like Pulimurugan and Lucifer and all happened in Malayalam. And we were all starting to think bigger films, mounting larger scales and all that. And then the pandemic happened. And then it was sort of like telling us to stop, just go back to what you're good at, write great films on paper and then shoot it efficiently. So all these films in Malayalam of late have happened as a byproduct of that thought process. And I hope, even though we will now, post-pandemic, make big, large-scale films, I hope at the core of our industry, we always remain this,
No, absolutely. So now, for Brahmam, we are talking to you right now. Usually, say in the last 1.5 years, I've spoken to a lot of people from South cinema, be it Telugu, be it Tamil, be it Malayalam, quite a few people as well, which usually did not happen earlier. Now, because now Brahmam is not merely available, say, for Malayalam audience, but it will be available for everyone. Not only everyone in India, but all across the world. So there is this interest that is developing, especially for Malayalam cinema within India as well as outside India. And what is being talked about is, I've spoken to a few other people from Malayalam cinema as well, is that somewhere the filmmakers and actors, they don't consider the audience to be dumb. Many a times in the guise of simplifying content for audience, ki audience ko ye samajh mein nahi aayega. They'll understand it better if you simplify it more. But the content becomes slightly more flaky in a way. But this is something that does not happen in Malayalam cinema. You guys, from whatever we have seen and spoken to people, you guys give a lot of credence to the intelligence of your audience. How important is it to take the intelligence of audience into account and not to consider them stupid?
See, I just think that it is not up to you as a filmmaker to assume or gauge how intelligent the people you are making a film for are. I think what is more important is that you stay true to what you're trying to make. And then within that, you make a genuine, honest effort. I'll simplify it for you. Let's say you're making a massy commercial, film. One of those, with a lot of action and songs and all that. I have absolutely no problems with cinema like that. I love watching films like that. I've been part of films like that. I hope I can be part of cinema like that in the future as well. But within that genre, I would still like it to be a very genuine effort, proper thought process into writing, proper design of the project, proper thinking out of the screenplay, shot really well, executed really well. Let's say a Dabang. A Dabang is, for what it is, a hugely entertaining piece of cinema. And it's not an easy film to make. There is genuine thought in writing. There is genuine effort into character building. It is made, in a very entertaining form. So I have absolutely no problems with a film like Dabang or Wanted. I enjoy those as much as I would enjoy an Udaan. As much as I'll enjoy Mirzapur. The same thing with Malayalam. Same thing with South cinema. So I think what is important is that regardless of what kind of cinema you're making, make sure you don't become lazy as a filmmaker. Make sure you don't take the easy way out of making a film. That is when you get caught out. That is when you don't have to always make cinema for this cerebral intellectual in front of you. You can make cinema for somebody who just wants to come with a tub of popcorn, have 2 hours of good time and then leave. That's fine. That still deserves to be called a great piece of cinema if it serves that purpose. But if it genuinely tests your patience and then it's a problem. So I understand that Malayalam cinema is now being associated with making really intellectually complex films, but that is not the only thing we are good at. We also make the comic capers. We also make the light-hearted family dramas. We also make the breezy entertainers. And all these kinds of cinema require the same effort. They require the same exercise. And that is where I think people go wrong. I think people think once you're making, let's say, a commercial breezy entertainer, it's less effort. It's not. It's still the same effort.
No, I think Brahmam looks intelligent. Basically, I meant in terms of context, that the context is important. And then you give risk to that context. Which at
but I
times
think,
filmmakers,
not to interrupt, but to add to it, I think the existence of logic has always been questioned by the Malayali audience more than people in other industries. And it has happened very early in our industry as well. So that could be one of the reasons why we are so challenged to make cinema that is so truthful and authentic, and if it makes sense. But which audience are we trying to cater to? We have never restricted ourselves to making it. As long as there is an element of truth in it, we have our takers.
No, definitely. And there is a lot of respect which is coming from Malayali cinemas way, and not only from India but all across the world. And I think
all across the world.
Big role in that. All right, now, so Mamta, when you're being directed by a guy who's inherently a cinematographer, how's the experience of being shot by him? Because as you said that he took 2 shots differently. Is it different from other filmmakers? The way he imagines his shots.
The beauty of since I mentioned that particular scene, which was shot twice, all over. I think the beauty was that we were trying to play a little bit with that scene, because I think that was the only scene where a couple of things were, some new elements were brought into that particular scene, even in terms of how she started the scene, because I don't think we tried to match it with the original. We were thinking, how can Unni and Mamta play this because we have never worked before. Me and Oni Mukundan have never worked before, and it was a scene where we had to. And this is the first scene that we're being given to perform together. So I was like, I haven't worked with Oni on screen before, so I have no idea how he's going to come into it and how I'm going to take off, because we started with the busy scenes like right in the beginning of shoot. So I had to get into the skin of the character right away. So I came with my own perception as to how I want to go into that particular scene. And that is the reason why I asked Sir if I can approach it this way. He said, you have a way you have seen the scene, and I have a way I have seen the scene. Let's do both and see, what works eventually after edit. And what has finally happened is he told me later that we've used a little bit of both. So him giving me that flexibility is just amazing. And of course, when I knew that it is RKC who's doing the film, I mean, it's like a dream come true. I've been a fan of all his films. Which actor hasn't he worked with? For me personally, this was a very, very big opportunity. And just getting to know him more as a person and understanding how involved he is in the script of this film, it was just all too exciting when it all came together.
Mamta, I was there in Sharjah when you were present for the award show.
Right.
I think Shaneem,
Shaneem told me about
so
it.
I
Yes,
spoke
of course.
to him a
Very
short
dear
while
friend
back.
of mine.
And
He told me.
so he sent me a video of yours singing. I think you're a terrific singer.
Thank you.
So what
Unfortunately,
passion?
this movie does not have songs for me.
All right. I think Rashi is having a song with
Yes.
Prithviraj. All right.
Yeah.
So how important is singing for you in your life?
Very much is. When people ask me, do I like to sing more or act more? I always tell singing is something that I do from my soul. It comes to me first nature. Whereas acting is something that I perfected over a period of time. I still haven't. It's still a work in progress.